Yo guys, this is GhoUL and welcome to your third C++ programming tutorial. In this video, I will talk to you about functions and variables, okay? And I will get into details about, I will show you a lot of small things and mistakes people make. And so let's get started. What is a variable, first of all? It won't be easy to define a variable. It's a variable is something that anything that you define, like any character or something x y, or even a word tuna tuna or ghoul. You can and you add a data type to it. I mean the type of data it is going to hold in terms of C++, like it can hold either integer or string or anything, any kind of data type. And that's all a variable is. And since its name is variable, its value is going to vary. It can change its value at any point of time. You can assign it a new value at any point of time. So I'm going to show you how to work with variables. Okay, I'm going to create a simple variable called int x. Okay, and right now I haven't assigned given any value to it. Okay, again I'm also going to create another value, int y equals to 20. So I actually assigned a value to a variable at the start. Okay, since this x has no value right now and this y has 20. Okay, now next what I'm going to do is see out. Now I'm going to do this x equals to 10, and now x value has been, you don't need to type int again. Okay, now the C++ knows that x is an integer. Okay, now I'm going to show you something cool. Okay, see out um, x. First of all, let's remove this from our program. Okay, not count, it's see out. I'm so sorry, see out x, and then see out y. um Not just that, let's also do something, one more thing, where int z equals x plus y. So I'm actually showing you how to work with variables, some mathematical operations on variables right now. And what do you think? And also let's do this, c out greater than c. So what do you think will be the effects of this program? So first of all, a variable has been initialized called x. It has no value right now. And then a variable has been initialized called y. It has a value equals to 20 right now. And then x is given a value equals to 20. And then another integer z is assigned, created with value, whose value is equals to x plus y, that is equals to 30. Now let's try running this program. I'm sorry. So you got 10 20 30 all in a line. Do you know why? Because of a mistake we did. Do you know what the mistake is? Hmm? I don't know, you can figure out. The mistake is just you didn't use this, you didn't do the inline, which I talked about in the previous video too much. So you see, you always should, this is what happens when you don't use inline too much. um, so there you go, your problem would have been fixed by now. You see, you got to it printed in two parts, 10 20 and 30. Not just that, you can do int z equals to x minus y, or x multiplication y division y, whatever you wish. That's just fine. And let's talk about one more thing about the variable. Now I do int y equals to 5, and then see out um, greater than y. What do you think is going to happen now? As you can see, it's going to print the other things like it did, but now since C++ reads its line one by one, it's going to reach int y equals to 5, and then y is going to be assigned a new value equals to 5, and this time it's going to print 5. Then it's going to print 10 20 30 and 5 in 4 different lines, because I already inserted ENDL over here. So let's see what happens. Sorry, you don't have to use int again. It's my bad. I don't know why I did that. I'm so sorry. So as you can see, It worked perfectly like I wanted. So you can see in the same program y has two different values. In first point in here, over here it has a value of 20, and in here it has a value of 5. So yes, a variable can change its value. Okay, and now I'm going to show you how I think you got a pretty good grasp on working with integers by now. um, I will create a separate video on different mathematical operations on integers. But for now, I'm only going to I'm going to talk about string a bit. Okay, let's create a string called GhoUL. Okay, so GhoUL equals to what? GhoUL equals to do you think that you need to add this double inverted commas? Yes, you need to add double inverted commas over here. Do you remember C++ only assigned these double inverted commas as part of strings? So yes, remember this. Use this double inverted comma in here and type GhoUL is a bad teacher, because GhoUL is a bad teacher. I know I'm a bad teacher. Um, I hope you can all can forgive your bad teacher. Now let's try to print this C out. And what are you going to do is, are you going to put GhoUL like this, or are you going to put a double inverted comma? No, you should not put double inverted comma, because if you put double inverted comma right now, C out is going to treat GhoUL not as a string anymore. It's going to they will treat it as a different string, not this one. It's not going to identify this as that this is a string which we created. So if all you need to do is do this to print this. Don't go overboard and uh, add double inverted commas over here because you think uh, GhoUL is a string file. No, don't do that. This is sufficient, and I will show you this. Oh, sorry. I forgot to add semicolon over here, and now let's try running this. So you see, it says it right now. GhoUL is a bad teacher, okay, and it runs pretty fine. But if you should not add. I will show you what happens if you add this over here. It won't work. It will print GhoUL like that. See, because it thinks that GhoUL is the things which you want to print. This thing inside this string. This is the thing which you want to print. It doesn't treats it as a variable anymore. It treats it as a simple string file. Okay, so I hope you have a very good grasp on variable by now. Now let's start with functions. Okay, um, so what is a function? Let's go to the start of the program. This int main is a function. Don't you this is a main function of the program, and that's why its name is main. And since what is this int, why is this int over here? This int is over here because this function returns 0, that is an integer. So whatever kind of data the function returns, the function should be, this is the return data type, that whatever function that data the function returns, uh, the function should be started with that. Okay, so let's create. I'm going to teach you by creating another function. A function is something that you create to do some operation in C++. So I'm going to start by creating another function void, um, and I'm going to use this function. It's going to start with void. Do you know why? Because it's not going to return anything. If a function doesn't return anything, it starts with data type void. Okay, it starts with void. It's not a data type. So I'm going to call this function print, and it's this bracket is for accepting parameters. I will talk to you about parameters in a few minutes in the same video. So let's the function the what this function should do is should print um what let the function print GhoUL is a bad teacher, and that's all. For my this simple function print is ready, and this function's job is to print something, to print GhoUL is a bad teacher. That's all. And to use this function to print this, the function is not going to work unless you call this function. Okay, so I'm going to call this function right now in my main function. Okay, do not tamper this main function, just remove this. Okay, and to call this function, do this. Since the function name is print, and do this and this. Sorry, not that. This is all you need to do to call a function. Okay, sorry, my bad. This is all you need to do is to call this function print in here, but still it's not going to work right now. Do you know why? It's going to show us an error. The reason is C++ reads everything line by line, okay, and as soon as it reaches print, as soon as it reads it, it doesn't works, because it doesn't knows that something called some a function like print exists in the program, because it hasn't got to this line. It only reached this line. It was like, what the hell is this print? It got confused. Okay, so it's that's why it's showing you here and here. So what you can do is either copy this, control plus v, um, put it over here, and now the function is good to go. It will work very nicely. And um sorry, it's not count, it's my bad. See, I don't know what the hell has got into me. And now the function is good to go, and see, it prints it very nicely. Call is a bad teacher. And there's one more thing which you can do. Okay, next thing is called the function prototyping. Okay, and I will show you how to do it. To create a function prototype, all you need to do is to let's create this function one more time. um let's this time I'm going to create a more complicated function for summation. And not just that, I will also show you how to do the prototyping of a function. Let's create a function to do mathematical operation of addition. Okay, and since it's I wanted to return an integer, so I will start with int. Okay, and then sum, and here goes the parameters: int x comma int y. And talking about the parameters, why do we have these parameters over here? It's simple, because I want to do I want this function to do calculations. Okay, and for I would need to call this function from somewhere, and I will call this function from my main class, and I will need to tell these function what are the two numbers which I want to add. So these parameters are the ones to do which will to which we will feed the value. Okay, these are the parameters to which we will feed the value of what we are going to add, the two numbers we are going to add, and they will give us the final result. So let's create the function. I'm going to create another function, int c equals to x plus y, and then I'm going to return z, and our function is ready. It's going to return z after adding x plus y. So what I can do is, to get the value, let's not count c out, and greater than. To call this function, all I need to do is do this. Remember, sum, and then let's do this. Let's feed 10 and 20 to the number. Okay, and that's all. I'm going to feed these two values to the number, 10 and 20. That's how I feed values to the parameter, and it will return z, and it will print this. Some 10 comma 20 is going to act as that integer value. Okay, and it is going to print the value which we want. So now we need to, since either I can copy this all from here and paste it over here so that the function works, or I can do something called as function prototyping. And all I need to prototype a function is like this. I will just copy it and paste it over here. And now when the C++ tries to read the function line by line, it when it gets over here this line, it knows, okay, there is a function called sum in this program somewhere. So now when it will come to this line, it won't get crazy and confused like it got in that program. Or you don't need to copy this whole program. You can do the both of things. You can either copy this whole function and paste it at the top, or you can just copy the name and put a semicolon, and that's it. You are done. Your program is ready. So this is a fully functional program which is going to give me value of 10 plus 20. So let's try this. So you see, it gives me an answer of 30. I'll show you one more method to create this function to do a summation. I will create this function one more way, okay, by using void. So what am I going to do is, this is void, and so I also need to do this void. Okay, this is done. And now I need to do, I will still read this value 10 comma 20, but this time I will remove these from here. So this is just some, this is the function being called with 10 comma 20, and after the function is being called, it's going to do this. Since this it's not going to return anything, I'm going to do this c out z. This is a function is ready, our program is ready. So what it does, it does prototypes it at first this with this. Okay, now it tells our C++ program, okay, there is a function called void sum x, void sum in the program. So don't get crazy when you see this. And in the main function, when C++ reaches in main function, it sees this sum 10 comma 20, and then it calls this function. Okay, and this function is called and but it's void, it won't return anything. It inherits int x and int y inherits 10 and 20 as their value, and then int z equals to 10 plus 20, that is equals to 30, and then z is printed by c out. This is how the function works, this is how the whole program works. And let's try running this. I haven't tried running this right now. You see, it gives me the answer without I can use even use void with this. So I hope you got the idea over here. Thank you for watching my video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and if you have any doubts, please don't forget to ask.